Something happened on first take this morning that stopped me cold. I mean, physically stopped me. I was standing in my kitchen making breakfast, TV on in the background, half listening to a conversation about the Warriors' play-in preparation. And then the screen changed. The studio audio cut, the cameras pivoted. And suddenly, Kendra Andrews, ESPN's Warriors beat reporter, was on screen live from outside the Chase Center practice facility in San Francisco with an expression that I have only ever seen on a reporter's face when they are sitting on a story that is about to blow up. Not excitement, not panic, something between the two. Controlled urgency, the kind of look that says I know something and I'm about to tell you as much as I'm allowed to. And what she described in the next 90 seconds, the scene at the facility, the vehicles in the parking lot, the unusual activity inside the building, the silence from her normally responsive sources, all of it pointed to one conclusion that sent the studio into absolute chaos. The Warriors are finalizing a deal for Cam Thomas, and it could be done before lunch. Hey, what's up everyone? Real quick before we get into everything, that like button is literally what determines if this reaches hundreds or thousands of fans. Takes 1 second, but makes a huge impact on the channel's growth. Just smash that like button right now. It's the easiest thing you can do, but honestly the biggest way to support this content. Every single like pushes this further, so hit it now. Andrews opened her report by establishing that she had been at the Warriors facility since early morning. She said she arrived expecting to cover a standard practice day, Steph Curry's return from injury, Charles Bassey's continued development, the team's preparation for the play-in tournament, normal late season coverage. But when she arrived, she noticed things that were distinctly not normal, additional vehicles in the executive parking area. Cars she recognized from previous major transactions, people entering the building through side doors who she didn't identify as regular staff, and a general atmosphere of heightened activity that was inconsistent with a routine practice day for a 10-seed team going through the motions of the regular season. She said she tried to reach multiple contacts inside the Warriors organization and received 0 responses. No texts returned, no calls answered, no on-background guidance. Complete and total silence. And she said, "In my years covering this team, I know exactly what this kind of silence means. The Warriors go dark when they're completing a significant move. When Bob Myers was here, it was the same pattern. When Mike Dunleavy took over, the pattern continued. Organizational silence from the Warriors means something is happening." And based on the conversations I've had with league sources over the past few days, combined with what I'm witnessing here at the facility this morning, all indications are that the Warriors are in the final stages of acquiring Cam Thomas. Back in the studio, the reaction was volcanic. Stephen A. jumped up immediately and said, wait a minute. The Warriors and Cam Thomas. Do you understand what that means? You're taking the most pure scorer available in the trade market and putting him into the most sophisticated offensive system in basketball. That's terrifying. That's absolutely terrifying for every team in the Western Conference. Because you know what the Warriors have been missing? They've been missing that guy who can go get a bucket when the system breaks down. They've been missing that microwave scorer off the bench who can come in and drop 15 points in 8 minutes. They've been missing the closer who can create his own shot in the fourth quarter when the game is on the line. Cam Thomas is all of those things. And in the Warriors system, alongside Steph Curry, my God, the potential is staggering. Shannon was more measured but equally engaged. He said, "I hear you, Stephen A. The scoring talent is undeniable, but I've got one major concern. The Warriors' entire system is built on ball movement, on player movement, on unselfishness, on making the right play, not the selfish play. And Cam Thomas, for all his scoring brilliance, has been a player throughout his career who tends to catch the ball and go into isolation mode. The ball stops, the movement stops, the other 4 players on the floor become spectators. And in the Warrior system, that kind of stagnation is the antithesis of everything Steve Kerr has built. So the question isn't whether Thomas can score. We know he can score. The question is whether he can score within the framework of what the Warriors do. And if he can't, if he disrupts the ball movement and the rhythm that makes this offense tick, then you've actually made the team worse by adding a better individual player. Now, I want to give you my analysis here because I think both Stephen A. and Shannon are identifying real aspects of this potential move, but I think they're both missing the bigger picture. The Warriors system is beautiful when it works. The off-ball screens, the backdoor cuts, the split actions, the constant motion. It's basketball poetry. But the reality of the current Warriors roster is that the system doesn't always work because they don't have enough individual talent to execute it consistently. When Steph is doubled and the ball goes to the roll man often can't create offense on his own. When the motion doesn't generate an open look, there's nobody who can break glass in case of emergency and go get a bucket. The system breaks down and the Warriors have no plan B. Cam Thomas is plan B. He's the guy you go to when the system doesn't produce, when the shot clock is winding down, when the motion hasn't created an advantage, when you need somebody to just put the ball on the floor and go score. Every great team needs that, even the system-obsessed Warriors. And here's the thing about Thomas in the Warriors system specifically that I think is the most exciting part of this potential acquisition. Steph Curry commands so much defensive attention that every other player on the floor benefits. Defenses can't cheat off their man to help on Steph because Steph will burn you from 35 feet. So when Thomas is on the floor with Steph, defenses are in a bind. They have to stay attached to Steph, which means Thomas gets more space to operate, more room to drive, more open looks from three, more favorable one-on-one matchups because the defense can't send help without leaving Curry wide open. Thomas's individual scoring talent combined with the gravitational pull of Steph Curry creates an offensive dynamic that would be almost impossible to defend. You can't double Steph because Thomas will score. You can't focus on Thomas because Steph will bury a three in your face. Pick your poison. There's no right answer. I also want to address what Thomas does for the Warriors bench unit because this is where I think the impact would be most immediate and most transformative. The Warriors bench scoring has been a problem all season. When Steph sits, the offense becomes stagnant. Nobody can create. Nobody can score consistently. And the leads that the starters build evaporate within minutes. Thomas coming off the bench as the leader of the second unit changes that equation entirely. He provides instant offense, consistent scoring, the ability to maintain or build a lead when the starters are resting. And in the play-in tournament, where every possession matters and every run by the opposing team has to be answered, having Thomas on the bench ready to respond with a quick 8 or 10 points is the difference between surviving and going home. Think about the play-in game against Portland. The Trailblazers are going to press. They're going to play full-court defense. They're going to try to speed the game up and create chaos. And in that chaos, the Warriors need someone who can slow the game down on the offensive end and get a quality shot. Thomas is that player. When Portland is pressing and the Warriors are struggling to get into their half-court offense, Thomas can take the ball, create separation off the dribble, and get a bucket that settles the team down. That kind of pressure release is invaluable in a single elimination game. And think about the Draymond dynamic. Shannon mentioned the concern about Thomas disrupting ball movement. But here's the thing, Draymond Green is still on this team. Draymond is still the basketball genius who orchestrates the offense. And Draymond has shown throughout his career that he can take a player who might naturally lean toward isolation and integrate him into the system. He did it with Kevin Durant. He did it with Andrew Wiggins. He does it by being the connective tissue of the offense. The player who sees the floor, makes the right pass, sets the right screen, and puts his teammates in position to succeed. If anyone can help Thomas play within the Warrior system while still allowing him the freedom to create individually, it's Draymond. The two of them together, Draymond facilitating and Thomas finishing, could be a devastatingly effective combination. As for the concerns about defense, which are legitimate, the Warriors actually have the infrastructure to mitigate Thomas's defensive weaknesses. Draymond is still an elite defender who can cover for his teammates' mistakes. Andrew Wiggins, when engaged, is a capable wing defender. And the Warriors' defensive scheme, which relies on communication and help defense rather than individual lockdown ability, can accommodate a player who isn't elite on that end as long as the player is willing to compete and follow the scheme. Thomas isn't going to be a plus defender, but in a system that prioritizes team defense over individual defense, he doesn't have to be. He just has to be willing, and from everything I've heard, Thomas is willing to do whatever it takes to win. The Andrews report from the facility is the most significant piece of evidence that this is actually happening. The agent vehicles, the front office activity, the organizational silence, all the telltale signs of a deal being completed are present. And when you combine that on-the-ground reporting with the basketball logic of why Thomas makes sense for the Warriors, the picture becomes overwhelming. This isn't speculation. This isn't wishful thinking. This is real. And if it goes through, the Warriors' play-in prospects and their overall ceiling as a franchise take a massive leap forward. Dub Nation, strap in. If Kendra Andrews is right about what she's seeing at the facility, Cam Thomas is about to be a Warrior. And when Steph Curry and Cam Thomas are on the same roster, the rest of the Western Conference has a serious problem on its hands. Subscribe, comment, and stay locked in. This could be announced at any moment.